I'm Anna.
Who is Anna? Who is Ben? Who is Rem?
And we are AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Last episode was another episode.
It was.
Yes, it was.
It really was. There have been like 17 of them. That was one. That was the 17th.
Yeah. I think this time I'm most anxious because this time there's a fucking weird piece of thing going on, and that like the idea of Rem being non-existent in this universe, in this, life, is horrifying to me because I don't know what that means. Because before, okay, one of our characters die. Yeah. I have that thing in the back of my mind, and I'm like, all right, Subaru dies, restart, we're fine again. Mm-hmm. This is different, and because it's different, I'm scared, and I don't like change.
But maybe you should knock on wood that this is the most anxious you will ever be.
Yeah,
putting it out in the universe.
I am excited to see what Puck does to Betelgeuse, though.
I feel like the ending of last episode has me in a place of not knowing at all what we are about to get into.
I want to see Puck tear Betelgeuse's fingers off.
Yeah, Betelgeuse already did that. He bit him off.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. Original form?
No.
Oh, fuck.
Because he was distracted by Subaru? My face.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't know about a little talk. You've committed 3 sins.
You don't seem to understand how important a promise is.
To a spirit arts user. Destroy the world? The great whale. White whale.
Gluttony. You are useless. A man I hate? No, it's me.
Okay.
Don't be a man that you hate.
Look at his eyes.
The bags are gone. The darkness. Do you really? I was told what to do from the... Oh, and the facial expression.
思い知らされたことと思い知ったことといろんな経験を経て俺はこうしてるわけだけど決めたんだレム。
はい。
俺と一緒に逃げようどこまでも。南の帝国には入れないって話だからどっちか。寒いのは苦手だから個人的には西が一押しだ。
I understand why he doesn't like it,
ぶっ
but
ちゃけ長旅になるかも曖昧だし。
待ってください。今のスバル君の言い方だとまるでルグニカではない違う国へ向かおうとしているような。スバル君のことですから、ひょっとして何かまたすごいことを思いついたんですね。ズワール様の助けになる。
そんなもんはねえよレム。オートにいても俺は何もできない。だからって屋敷に戻ったところで無力さは変わらない。だから俺と逃げよう。
So what he learned is that he's powerless?
俺はそれを認めたくなくて必死で否定し続けたけど。ああそうだよ、誰も俺を必要となんかしちゃいなかった。
そんなこと
ないことはねえよ。はっきりと言われたんだ。言われ続けたんだ。もううんざりだ。逃げようレム。俺もお前もここにこの国にいちゃいけねえんだ。突然なのは本当に悪いと思ってる。本当にだ。俺以外か選んでくれ。そこで小さな家でも買って二人で暮らすんだ。どれだけ疲れてもレムが待っててくれるって思えばきっと。俺を選んでくれ。俺を選んでくれれば俺の全てはお前に捧げる。
スバル君。スバル君と逃げることはできません。未来のお話は笑いながらじゃなきゃダメなんですよ。収入が安定したらもう少しまともな住居を探しましょう。スバル君にはその間ちゃんとしたお仕事に就くために勉強してもらって、実際に働けるようになるのに1年かそのぐらい。きっとスバル君の突飛な発想が活かせることもありますよ。仕事が軌道に乗ったら、その恥ずかしいですけど子供とか鬼と人のハーフになる。きっとわんぱくな子が生まれます。男の子でも女の子でも男の子が生まれずに女の子ばっかりが続いてしまって、スバル君が家庭内で肩身が狭くなることもあるかもしれません。
レム。
でも子供たちが大きくなってスバル君を邪険に扱うような、できればレムを先に行かせてください。ベッドの上でスバル君に手を握られて、子供たちやその子供たちに囲まれて静かにレムは幸せでしたって幸せに人生を終えることができるんです。スバル君が笑ってその未来を望んでくれるなら、レムはそうやって死んでもよかったと本気で思います。スバル君が逃げようと思った時、レムと一緒にいたいと思ってくれたことが今は心の底から嬉しい。ダメなんです。だってきっと今一緒に逃げてしまったらレムが一番好きなスバル君を置き去りにしてしまうよ。スバル君、何があったのかレムに話してください。
I have chills.
I know.
きっとレムがどうにかしてみせます。ゆっくり時間をかけて落ち着いて考えれば
Try that.
違う答えが見つかるかもしれません。
もう悩んだんだ。考えたん
Alone.
だ。苦しんだんだ。だから諦めたんだ。
諦めるのは簡単です。でも
諦めるのは簡単。
スバル君、
諦めるのが簡単なわけねえだろうが。俺が何もしないで何にも考えないであっさり全部切り捨てて、あっさりと何もかも投げ捨てて、それで諦めてるんだってお前はそう思うのか。戦おうってどうにかしてやろうってそう思う方がずっとな。
So much easier to think there was something I could do.
スバル君、諦めるのは簡単です。
Doubling down.
スバル君には似合わない。スバル君がどんなに辛い思いをしたのかわかりますなんて軽はずみに言ってはいけないとも思います。でもそれでもスバル君は途中で何かを諦めるなんてできない人だってことです。スバル君が未来を諦められない人だって知っています。
違う、俺はそんな人間じゃ。
違いません。スバル君はみんなを、エミリア様も姉様も
全
The hands are so small.
そんなことはありません。スバル君には
お前に俺の何がお前に俺の何が分かるって言うんだ。力なんてないのに望みは高くて
I have no strength, but I want it all.
No knowledge, but all I do is dream.
俺は俺が大嫌いだよ。いつだって口先ばっかりで何ができるわけでもねえのに偉そうで、自分じゃ何もしねえくせにつける時だけは一人前だ。何様のつもりだ。僕もまあ恥ずかしげもなく生きてられるもんだ
To
よ。
not feel ashamed.
Right, about the ashamed, we see that scene.
俺がここに来るまで
What a great shot.
お前たちに会うような事態になるまで何をしてきたかわかるか。何もしてこなかった。何一つ俺はやってこなかったって、あれだけ自由があって何だってできたはずなのに、その結果がこれだ。その結果が今の俺だ。俺の無力も無能も全部が全部俺の腐りきったし、
Rotten character.
何もしてこなかったくせに何かを成し遂げたいだなんて思い上がるにも限度があるだろうよ。俺はただ何もやってないわけじゃないんだ。
Justified.
努力してるんだって分かりやすいポーズをとって自分を正当化してただけだ。仕方がないって言われたい。ただそれだけのために俺はああやって体を張ってるようなふりをしてた。あのパーツの悪さをごまかすためのポーズだったんだよ。俺の根っこは自分可愛さで人の目ばっかり気にしてるようなうざくて卑怯で薄汚い俺の根っこは何も変わらねえ。俺は俺が大嫌いだよ。
レムは知っています。手を伸ばしてくれる勇気がある人だってこと。手のひらと髪の毛を通してスバル君と通じ合っている気がするんです。スバル君の目が好きです。柔らかくなるその目が好きです。スバル君の指が好きです。男の子なのに綺麗な指をしていて、たまにちゃんとついてきているか確かめるみたいに振り向いてくれる、そんな歩き方が好きです。好きです。
どうして
スバル君が自分のことを嫌いだってそういうのなら、スバル君のいいところがこんなにあるってレムが知っていることを知ってほしくなったんです。
お前は分かってないだけだ。自分のことは自分が一番よく分かってる。
スバル君は自分のことしか知らない。レムが見ているスバル君のことをスバル君がどれだけ知っているんですか。
どうしてそんなに。
だってスバル君はレムの英雄なんです。目覚めて微笑んでレムが一番欲しかった言葉を
Said the words I wanted to hear most.
一番言って欲しかった人が言ってくれたこと。ずっとレムの時間は止まっていたんです。あの炎の夜に姉様以外の全てを失ったあの夜か、止まっていた時間を、凍りついていた心をスバル君が甘やかに溶かして優しく動かしてくれたんです。あの瞬間に、あの朝にレムがどれだけ救われたのか、レムがどんなに嬉しかったのか、きっとスバル君にだって分かりません。怪獣の誰もスバル君を信じなくなって、スバル君自身も自分のことが信じられなくなったとしても、レムは信じています。レムを救ってくれたスバル君が本物の英雄なんだって。明日も好きだなんて。
救えなかった。
レムがいます。スバル君が救ってくれたレムが。
The rem you saved is right here. What wording?
誰も耳を貸してなんかくれない。
レムがいます。スバル君の言葉なら何だって聞きます。レムはスバル君を愛しています。スバル君がいいんです。スバル君じゃなきゃ嫌なんです。レムの止まっていた時間をスバル君が動かしてくれたみたいに、スバル君が止まっていると思っていた時間を今動かすんです。ここから始めましょう。1から。いいえ、0から。
From Zero.
Oh.
Oh!
かっこいいところを見せてください、スバル君。
Oh, and then the bang Trunks went back to covering her eye.
俺はエミリアが好きだ。エミリアの笑顔が見たい。エミリアの未来の手助けがしたい。邪魔だって言われても手伝ってくれるか。俺一人じゃ何もできない。俺は何もかもが足りない。まっすぐ歩けるような自信がない。だから俺がまっすぐ歩けるように、間違っても気づけるように手を貸してくれないか。
スバル君はひどい人です。振ったばかりの相手にそんなことを頼むんですか？
一世一代のプロポーズを断られた相手にこと頼みづらいよ。
慎んでお受けします。
特等席で。お前の惚れた男が最高にかっこいいヒーローになるんだってところ。君を見てる。君が見てる。ゼロから始めよう。夏木スバルの物語を。ゼロから始める異世界生活を。
Alright, that was Rezero, season 1, episode 18. My eyes hurt. I feel like I was like trying not to blink that entire time. Whoever's
Especially
editing this
the end.
whoever's
like,
editing this
couple
video
minutes.
is in for a fucking
Wild ride.
like I don't know how you're supposed to do it.
The dialogue was like there was a lot of dialogue. Obviously, dialogue heavy episode for sure. And all of the phrases and words and word choices were all like very purposeful and powerful, and it was an emotional conversation filled with attempts at being validating and not and not making a person feel like, oh, you're just trying to say you understand to move past it or to appeal to me. Like it was a really validating conversation of like, I could never actually understand your lived experience, but I believe in you and I love you.
I took 5 pages of notes. I don't know if I've ever seen an episode of an anime that was so rewarding as like as a viewer and like what we've been through with him.
Mm-hmm.
I like can you imagine if you had the ability to maybe in this comparison it'd best work if it was in the future, right? If you 5 years from now could go back in time to this point and be hovering outside of your body, and you get to watch every decision you have made over the last 5 years, how fucking frustrating it would be every time you made a wrong decision, or you said something arrogant or ignorant or mean, or you gave up, or you would be so fucking critical and be like, why are you fucking doing that? Just don't do that. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Like
you'd get to a point of hating yourself. I mean, I as a person am very hypercritical of myself in anything and every single thing I do, and so I don't even need to come back 5 years from the future to hover over myself now, to nitpick myself like that, or to break myself down like that, when I do it like a minute after I open my mouth.
Well, sure, but even that's a piece of you, right? If you were 5 years ahead of yourself and able to look over, you would have that perception of you being hypercritical of yourself too. That in itself can be a frustrating behavior, but why I bring this up is like...
I could be frustrated at myself for that.
Why I bring this up is that as a viewer, I feel that it would be really easy, especially in the past few episodes, that you could just be like yelling at Subaru, or like yelling stop, or why are you doing that? Shut up. Say something different, think about it differently, do this. Like, every bit of those moments that a viewer could feel frustration with him, I think that deep down, what we learned is that he's feeling that himself tenfold, and he is in the situation. And when you're blinded by all that fog, right? Like thematically, that the white whale has caused, you each decision you make, you're getting further and further into that fog.
Mm-hmm.
And to break down every bit of his character since episode 1, but specifically over the past 6 or so episodes, to break down a faulty foundation to be able to start from zero and build it up correctly. It's not about everything that you've said or everything that you've done. It sounds so stupid, but when Rem said it's easy to give up, and then reiterated it the second time after Subaru had gone on his...
She drove it home.
Yeah, but when he went on with his example of how it wasn't easy to give up, you're thinking through it, you're thinking 1,000 words a minute, you're thinking so quick through every reason, everything you've been through, but the point that Rem's trying to get across is that at the end of all of that overthinking and whatever you're going through, it needs to end and restart and rebuild. I'm having trouble because of, especially with Subaru's dialogue, how easy it is for me to be able to relate in a really, in so many ways, which sounds so dumb because like he's been through so much more than I could ever, but because of that, it resonates the extreme emotions that he feels. It feels like I feel like that in my personal life over things that are much smaller.
So what we have with Subaru and this whole it's easier to give up scenario and situation, it is a relatable scenario, because if we just think about it, obviously not the severity that this character in this show goes through. In your own life, your lived experience, you have lived within your body with your own certain flaws and weaknesses and habits, and for many, many years. And if you identify something about yourself that you wish you could change and you want to change, from a physical aspect, a lifestyle choice, an internal emotional thing that you might be going to therapy for, like there are so many different things that it could be that you have identified about yourself that you are now trying to reset or change or fix a way of thinking, that it is incredibly hard because you've been living with that or in that certain way for so long. And to start from zero, to actually knock that tower over and actually, like, that people go to therapy for many, many years trying to achieve something like that. The ability to just let go and start over, to let yourself breathe in that way, where you let yourself change, you let yourself grieve something that you once were, that you're trying to change, and just let it pass. Forgive yourself for that bad habit or for that behavior, but also like give yourself the push and the strength and the confidence to change.
But you can't fake it. Like, you can't just say, I know that that's what people do. I know that that's what the end goal of therapy would be. But you can't just decide, okay, I'm going to do better. And it's going to work. Subaru dissecting himself led to further revelations that we have never heard from him. And I think that is why it was so powerful, because he does the acknowledgement of his faults and his failures that led him to say, I hate myself, put him on the track to get even more down on himself and more critical of himself and point out everything that he finds so disgusting about himself.
He just started dogpiling on
which
himself.
then led to, God, Rem is such a fucking great character. Led to one of many great moments from Rem this episode of just responses back, like line for line, with Subaru saying everything that she loves about him. And God, one of the best lines of this entire episode, I have too many things written down, so I don't know if I'll be even able to find it in my notes, was him saying, Rem saying something along the lines of how selfish he is because the only version of himself that he is seeing is himself.
Is the one that he sees.
Yeah, and not the one that Rem is seeing. I was like, jaw on the ground, dude. This is...
When we started to just get into this episode and what this conversation was going to be, and Subaru really started, opening up, and the conversation was really, really happening, there was a part of me that was like tense and wary of how Rem would respond, because when someone is saying all of these things about themselves, there's certain ways to handle, or that you want to handle, those conversations in order to, make the person feel validated, but also not, make them feel like they need to shut down. And I was really wary of how Rem's words were going to have an effect on Subaru. And there was at one point that she opened her mouth, and the first 2 words out of her mouth made me go, uh-oh. But then how and I think it was almost purposeful, because it was like these 2 words, ... and then the rest of the sentence. And I think it was purposeful. There was a pause there that I was like, ooh, is that the right way to start a sentence to someone when they're in this mindset that they're not going to just shut down completely and think that you aren't someone that they can talk to, that's being respectful of them and their emotional thought?
Going off of that, how awesome is it that we have a character like Rem who is able to be such an antagonist in a way in this episode to everything Subaru was saying. She was challenging him and
everything, every argument.
But to build your confidence enough to even say that I'm going to say this to the person whether it works or not, right? Whether this was going to make this person happy or not, was exactly what Subaru needed in this case. And I think that a lot of times in real life, it's a very similar kind of thing. I think that God, Subaru's devolving into self-hatred this episode was beautiful, dude. I think I don't know what else to say. It was sad, and I was really emotional and crying, but it was beautiful in how well I think it encapsulated and portrayed how lost in yourself you can get, even when you are somebody who likes to think that you're always pushing forward and trying for the best and, putting the world on your shoulders and striving to move forward, and that, people don't understand how much work I'm putting in, it's, I don't know, man. This is, I think, my favorite episode of Rezero.
I think I definitely think this episode was amazing. The whole conversation that you had brought up that you really loved about Rem bringing up, Subaru was obviously, talking about the version of himself that he sees and that he knows, and she was basically how dare you talk about the Subaru I know like that. And it reminds me of a line from Amelia last episode about how he wasn't this kind of person before, and that he has been a certain person to all of these people, and that is the person that they know. And that to them, that person did... I don't know where I'm going with this, but it fits that phrase from Amelia last
You weren't
episode.
this kind of person before. Yeah. I think that it's funny because the thought of Subaru his own thought of how he's going to be the person to make everyone love him is the same thought that led him to becoming a person that Amelia doesn't even recognize.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that another one of my favorite moments this episode that spoke so much to Subaru, and not because of how much that was spoken, but the idea that it was spoken at all, was how much detail and thought Rem put into this potential future with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because you say that same type of message and you shorten it, it is nowhere near as effective. It took each time Subaru interrupting and saying Rem ... and then Rem continuing with it and laying it on, and her being like, and him being like, but why would you, like, why do you love me, like, and her just continuing with it. The whole approach and execution of Rem's dialogue this episode is nothing but a masterpiece.
So if you had like given me this little, like, a quick description, and you were like, or if like the author came to me, the person that wrote this, and was like, or just put it out there like, ooh, okay, I want to have Rem tell Subaru that she loves him when he hates himself, I would have been like, is that the right choice? You know, like if someone just gave me that broad idea of like, this is the time that she's gonna be like, I love you, when he's like hating himself, I would have been like, is that really the right choice? Because I feel like if I was being really down on myself, I wouldn't necessarily want someone to be like, but I love you.
Mm-hmm.
So just the fact that it was able to be paired together and not feel
it's all the execution, right?
Or,
because
invalidating.
Because how you just described it, right? The
Mm-hmm.
I love you. It's how much she had to say, and how much detail there was, and how consistent it was.
I wrote down, I love when characters just talk and talk.
It was so fucking, nothing else would have worked. Nothing else. And it was amazing.
And Rem says that he said exactly what she wanted to hear most. And here it seems like she said exactly what he needed to hear most.
The best part about it, too, is that what Rem did for him wasn't spelling out answers for him.
Mm-hmm.
It was telling him her truth, which again and again, which led him to self-realization and introspection. And he had a great line, too, that was like, it's amazing that I can live like this and not feel ashamed. And I was like, holy shit, dude, the last few episodes, especially the episode that ended with Amelia being next to Subaru in the bedroom in the Capitol.
That was the scene that showed on the screen when he said ashamed.
Masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I appreciate those moments of uncomfortability and unsettling. And I like everything that made me like, you know, like, no, Subaru, like, you know, I appreciate those moments so much more, because like in my wildest dreams, I genuinely didn't expect anything this powerful to happen in one episode with this character.
The way that it was set up from the beginning of the episode created the momentum of a spiral, because we start with almost this very confident, almost relaxed Subaru with this facial expression that is very reminiscent of someone a long time ago and not this current Subaru that we've been hanging out with. And he's like, I've known it all along. The answer, what everyone's been trying to tell me, you know, like, I finally realized. And this expression is almost like this peaceful, like, you know, and I was like, ooh, what? Okay, like, really? Like,
you could
that
see it in
conversation
Rem's
with
face,
Puck,
like her
like,
hope, you know.
And I was like, oh, so that conversation with Puck, like, you know, maybe we got him back, like, really, from that? Okay.
I'm so happy he was wrong.
And then for these moments of like dialogue heavy episode of each character just continuously talking, like word vomiting almost for Subaru's case, just this beginning of that spiral from there, that you had me at this high as a viewer of thinking like, oh, everything's okay, question mark, to them being like, oh, one step down the staircase, oh, another step down the staircase, okay, now we're going, now we're going down, we are spiraling.
I feel like my thoughts this discussion have been pretty shit and not concise at all. Only because like I'm thinking like a mile a minute. I feel like in just trying to put my feelings into words because I have so many emotions after watching this episode. I think that speaks over the quality of the episode.
We had a lot to process.
Yeah, but like her Rem's like response initially to Subaru saying that was something along the lines of if you could have said that with a smile on your face. And like to go off of that train of thought, it like that's how easy it was for Rem to be able to tell what kind of mindset led him to that decision, which then enforced everything Rem had to say, which again, perfect.
But they also put something else into this episode that normally I would feel like in the same vein as the I love you during this conversation, how if I was just told, you know, oh, but then Subaru's gonna say, I love Amelia and I'm rejecting you, I would have been like, okay, that's a lot of like stuff. There's a lot of big pieces there. How am I gonna feel when I see Rem get rejected after confessing love? Like, and then to also know the buildup of Subaru and Rem both fantasizing about this life that they would lead moving away.
Well, you rejected my proposal.
Yeah, and then they were able to laugh about it, which was a great ending and a great bringing back of that. Because it had me not feeling as, like, hurt or secondhand hurt for the character Rem in this conversation as I maybe would have felt otherwise. Normally when there's like a secondary love interest character, they're pining in secret, and if they do put themselves out there, it's not as forward and concrete as a confession, so it is something that they're able to just slip away from and quietly cry or be like, okay, they love this person more, and then they just go on being a really great friend or, you know, the same person as they always were to that person that they loved. And here it's like, but you're giving me the big actual confessions that you can't take back these words that you're saying. And you're having me watch Rem then get rejected, but also then agree to stay by Subaru's side as he's saying that this is the person that he wants to make happy. And I'm like, how are you giving me all of these things that in theory I would be like utterly like no way about, and you're gonna give it to me, and I'm laughing at the end when Subaru and Rem are laughing together.
It's incredible because like it's that sense of disbelief that you're alluding to, that you could, like, if somebody broadly gave you a synopsis of what was happening in this episode, you'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But it's that execution in detail and how they managed to do it that like
I might
perfect.
even be disgusted in theory that Rem's character would have been put through this.
But to because I think a synopsis like that leaves out the emotion that each character would be feeling.
Like,
their purpose
you'd be
for it.
leaving out exactly how Rem feels in this situation. That Rem is feeling in this moment like, this is a person I care about, and I want this person to be happy. I want them to continue to be this person that I trust in, that saved me. And I think Rem's probably known all along the Subaru was in love with Amelia.
Oh, of course, yeah.
It does not matter to Rem that her feelings are reciprocated. Especially, why would it matter to you that your feelings are reciprocated if you're being faced with something even more upsetting that is the person you love in agony?
Yeah.
Like, your feelings and them getting reciprocated, that is just so much more minor compared to the person you love in front of you
and wanting
beating themselves up, saying they hate themselves. Like, those are your feelings, but so it works. It worked.
And like to complete, like to go off that thought, like that, like what that reciprocation, how insignificant that is to this person hating themselves, but at the end, when Subaru's saying what he is about Amelia, that's the completion of it, right? Like, seeing the person that you have these feelings for come into their own and being able to express confidently what their thoughts and feelings are at the end of that. Like, that means more. Seeing them back to normal means more to you than your selfish desire in that sense.
And when he pulls her closer and she starts to cry and he says that, like, I'm going to show you the man that you love will become, like, more of an amazing hero.
Mm-hmm.
When she's crying there, not only is she probably crying over those feelings of, like, why wouldn't you tear up a little bit over just, like, actually getting rejected? Like, even if she's known all along, she still heard it.
Yeah.
Verbatim. But also just mainly
having
the
him
more
back.
Overpowering feeling of having the person you love back.
Right?
And also that they care about you. It's not like Subaru's rejecting you and then being like, get out of my sight, you're ugly, I hate you.
Yeah.
He loves you enough to have just would have been perfectly happy to have a life with you.
Yep.
And run away somewhere.
I love that, like, having him back, and that, like, it felt like we had him back. And it's like, it's this blind, it's like, it's not, so it's not like blind I'm looking for. It's not like a blind belief. It's like, it's almost like a naive, like, statement of, I'm going to be the hero, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's like this, childlike, like, pure, I'm going to be this hero. And it's like, that's the character I knew as Subaru, of, like, of fortitude and resilience, and it's like I'm seeing him back.
And isn't that interesting that they gave us such big declarations in the episode? Like, that declaration at the end is more emotional than it just, if you wanted to, like, actually think about them, it could possibly be more emotional of a declaration than Rem saying I love you, or him saying he hates himself, or him saying that he's in love with Amelia. Like, there's a lot of declarations of really big, very emotionally charged, very deep in someone's heart things in this episode. And that last declaration felt more emotional because it was powered and charged by all of those other big feelings.
Yep. A couple other things you talked about, like the flashes of like previous things like that we've seen in the series. The editing was phenomenal, man. This episode's editing was top notch. This is the first time I think we've really seen Subaru recount on screen his life before he was reborn or put into this world.
Other than maybe talking about it or in the first 2 episodes, like when he first met Amelia.
Which is so exciting because this is different. This is deeper than just his character in this world. It's his character as a human being, right? As a person. He said himself, I have no character this episode. And I was like, holy shit. I have never watched an anime with a main character who said that he has no character before. It was great. There was a really interesting shot that, because, like, okay, we're just dialogue, right? Mm-hmm. We're mouth flaps and emoting most of this episode. There's a really interesting shot at 15 minutes and 19 seconds into the episode where we turn to Rem from Subaru, but we're in Subaru's perspective, and for half of a second, you can see Subaru's arm wave to the right, like just swing like that, like because he's like expressing, and that's
she's unfazed.
Yeah,
she's also unfazed during that whole swipe too. Like she's really taking in. Like this is someone who is a good example of actually listening to someone when they're talking. Like yes, you might disagree with what Subaru is saying, but if you like use this in your own life, if someone is in front of you venting to such a degree, really talking about themselves and their innermost feelings, whether bad, whether you want to wash it away from them or disagree with them or be like, no, you're great, you're beautiful, you're awesome, to just listening.
Yeah.
You should just be listening, and you should be present for everything that they're saying, because it's obviously important to them, because these are things that they're really feeling. It's not like you can just wave away. Like if someone's like, I hate myself, and you're like, oh, but you shouldn't. What does that actually do for the person? There's
a difference between hearing somebody or like listening and understanding somebody. Mm-hmm. You know, there's that presence of mind.
And there's also, I feel like Rem had somewhat of a more calculated thought behind her lines to Subaru. None of her lines felt like she was just really reactive. Like she was just immediately going into what she wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like she did think before she spoke, or she knew what she wanted to say very strongly, and was more precise and calculated with when and what the content of her words were, instead of just being reactive. Because it could be hard to not be reactive to the person you love standing in front of you being like, I hate myself, everything's bad, you might want to be like, no, 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 no,
Mm-hmm.
stop.
She had a great line that said, like, my time had been stopped, and how she was going to try to do the same thing that Subaru did to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he saved her from that. He put her time, like, going forward again.
I don't know if I'm remembering it incorrectly, but I almost think like there was another line in there that was like, if you had the power to do that for me, then you can do it for yourself. Which, if it is, that is really powerful too. Like the thought that you don't need someone else to come pick you up.
Yeah. I think that, like, the craziest part of this episode was that 20 minutes of pure intellectual dialogue was strong enough to summon thousands of doves.
How does that even happen?
And then sparkles fell afterwards.
I was a little bit, like, I thought that was just a really funny touch. I mean, I don't know if it was meant to be funny. I did find it a little bit funny. I liked it a lot. But there's a level of fantastical energy to this scene.
You know, in My
that
Hero,
is
when
great and
Todoroki
comedic.
gives his declaration to Deku about how he's going to win outside of the sports festival in season 2, and then Deku, like, holds up his hand, and then, like, rose petals, like, or sakura blossom, like, petals start going across the screen while you say
Exactly.
run's going on. It's like, it's the same fucking vibe, and I love anime so much.
There's an awareness level to it. Like,
Yeah.
it was totally unnecessary, but and also, like, how does this even happen, and why were these birds doing this and in this exact moment?
But you know they have to be
But,
real
like,
because Rem's hair's moving to them.
Yeah, exactly. There's an awareness there that this is a creation of a very dynamic moment in a somewhat funny way.
Yeah, it's awesome. I loved it. It's great.
What are these sparkles? Like, I know a bunch of birds just flew.
Feelings.
Are
Emotion.
Bird poop, feathers,
It was love.
feelings and emotion, love.
I have spent this entire discussion, I'm like, we're almost out of time on the camera, so I have to end it
Oh my
soon.
God.
But talking about that dialogue and that first part of the scene with Puck,
Oh, yeah.
him saying, like, you'll need to spawn 1,000 shadows, half of what Satella would bring.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting piece of dialogue I wrote down so we can remember in the future. Also, Puck's 3 sins that Subaru
Mhm.
committed, breaking
first
promises to Amelia, him saying, like, to a spirit art user, like, breaking a promise to a spirit art user is, like, a grave fucking sin.
Especially because they've made promises, they've made pacts with spirits.
Yeah.
So it's very vitally important, especially when we learn that, like, Puck's pact with Amelia.
His
is that if she
contract is to
dies, like,
destroy the world.
Destroy the world. What?
Holy shit! How strong? Like, do you think Puck, like, one hits the white whale? Like, do you, like, you know what I mean? Like, is Puck the strongest character in this universe at this point?
White whale is that one of the fingers? Is that gluttony? 'Cause we
The
got
language kind of made it seem like that, did it
made
not?
it seem like the white whale was gluttony.
Yeah. Again,
I
we
wonder
don't have
why
much
that
time,
would fit
but
with, like, losing memories of Rem because eaten by the white whale. I wonder how that fits with a possible idea of the sin of gluttony.
that's a really good question. If it is gluttony,
I feel like there would be an explanation though, which
Yeah.
I would be excited
oh,
to
definitely.
hear.
It looks like a troublesome one has been drawn here. Gluttony. ... Oh, I suppose they call it the white whale now. I don't know. Keeping things for themselves.
Oh, they're keeping the
Yeah,
white
yeah.
whale ate this person, therefore keeping all of them.
Maybe.
Oh,
I'd be interested in
'Cause,
seeing
like,
their
a
explanation
lot of
for it,
people
though.
are like, oh, if I die, at least I made an impact and people will have memories of me, and there are pictures of me out there,
Yeah.
or I have a statue. I mean, if you're lucky enough to have a statue of yourself.
Maybe
But
one day.
some people just have memories in their loved ones' brains.
Let's have statues made.
Yes.
All right, you good?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.